what would you do to the 5-star batch? How would you change them? Obviously, we've got the Censor twins, so would you change Censor twins? Are they good to go as they are? Roadbuster and Half-shell, you know, only come out recently, and Space Ape have got a habit of not changing current endurance bots. Roadbuster and Spinister, obviously they were the community vote. So, because the community voted, does that mean they are good to go? Then we've got Scattershot and Leo Zack, who I announced a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I'm glad they're part of the batch. Could be interesting because they are, you know, acid bots. So it's good to have some acid bots in there. And then Optimus and T2 Megs. So, watching Radius' stream, he was saying how good they are, things like that. I'm still quite reserved. But obviously, kicking off with the Sentius twins. Obviously, these have, I wouldn't say they've been always in the meta. They have been in lower leagues, but not in prime league. Sort of gone away from the meta and replaced by Laser Optimus. So Laser Optimus does slightly more damage, and obviously Laser Op's a 5-star as well, so that's going to have that advantage of extra health and damage. But you've got to think that Sentius doesn't have a G1 core either. I think that helped Laser Optimus as well, and the fact that you can only put Amalgamus on one bot, and there's so many bots that you can put Amalgamus on. There's still that sort of problem with Amalgamus and Sentius. I still think he needs a power core. He's got ability 11. He's got a combat now, his own combat. I don't think he needs changing much. I think he is good to go. I think he does need a bot specific core. I think that I'd put a cherry on the cake, I think, as well. And I've always said that the new content should always be better than the old content. So you got to think that how can we make Sentius better than Laser Optimus without going a bit stupid with it? And I think that's it. I think just giving him Amalgamus core, a bit like Laser Optimus in a way. But I think that because Sentius has got this new combat bot, that gives him that slight edge because he's got a weapon now. Next up, we've got Roadbuster and Half-shell. So I've been playing around with these guys, and I'm going to talk a bit about a few of them all in one. But damage-wise, I'm quite impressed, actually. I've been one-shotting pretty much anything other than a shock tower. And then with a little boost, you can take that out. And I think that when you talk to top players, they always say that the big priority is taking out that Liege core. And this bot just makes that totally viable. Yeah, I'm actually liking him more and more the more I use him, but it does have a big problem, and it's not the cost. I know I said that I would reduce the cost maybe. I'd rather have it 4+4 than 6+3. That's what I'd do, but there's something else I would do, but I'm going to tie it into a few of them. Next up, Scattershot and Leo Zack. And I think these guys need the biggest change. I think these guys need a total overhaul. Personally, I think it needs a damage increase. I think they need to change it to an air class bot so they can equip range combats. So he needs so much because he just doesn't have enough damage. And being a special bot with such low health, yeah, he's got high DPS, but with that health, he just dies so quickly. And I think this guy needs the most work. And I think that if any bot is to be turned around to be an amazing bot in this batch, it would probably be Scattershot and Leo Zack with the acid as well. And then we have Optimus. It does, you know, at max 900, call it 900 damage per second for 10 seconds. So 9k damage in an area. But high cost, 7+2, far too costly. You know, can't equip any range combat. So he is a sort of melee special bot, has the same problems as the other two, which again we're going to talk about in a minute and time all in. I just think that it's not very consistent, the damage as well. And I think there's other bots that do it better, which we're going to talk about again in a second. I'm going to talk about alternatives and why these bots aren't maybe as good as they maybe perceive or could be. But just to tie back, when I said that I'm going to tie 3 of these things in, it's Optimus, it's Scattershot, and obviously Roadbuster. And the one thing I'm not too sure people have realised is the speed of these bots. So they're all melee bots, and they're all quick. So we've got Scattershot with speed of 2.4. We've got Roadbuster at a speed of 2.7, which is rapid. And then we've got Optimus at 2.1. And I will show you the problem. So when you sort of set your team out, I've said to people as well, set your team out on your deployment. But generally, as you walk through the base, you want 3 lines, 3 distinct lines really. So you want your tanks at the front, that's your tanks as you go through. You want your gunners, jets, whatever range, somewhere behind your tanks. Then your healers behind them. So you got sort of 3 lines. At worst, your healers might run ahead and start to heal your tanks. And you've got 2 lines. So even if you've got some special bots in there, you want your warriors, your highest health bots, on the front line, taking those hits. That's their job. So when the likes of Rook and Pipes, bots like that, Ironhide, their job is to take the hits. They haven't got massive damage. They haven't got crazy abilities. They've got crazy health, low damage, but they've got good abilities that protect the rest of the team. You want Pipes on the front line. That is the point I'm making. So we're going to drop all the bots first, all together. We're going to drop Pipes first. We're going to even give them a bit of a head start, and you'll see how fast they sort of walk ahead. So Pipes there, you can see there, look, straight away, Roadbuster running right ahead, and he takes the first hits. Scattershot runs ahead, and now you see Optimus is catching up, and he slowly is going to overtake Pipes as well. So all those special bots, because of that fast speed, they rush ahead, and they get ahead of your tanks and take the hits. So although they are slightly squishy in terms of their health, that's not the problem, because there's other bots that have similar health that do survive. So if you want these bots to stay behind your tanks, they need to have a similar speed of 1.7, 1.8. You don't want a squishy special bot running away. And yes, you have got, you know, the likes of jets and things like that that got a higher speed, but don't forget they've got range combats to keep them back. So although they might have a faster speed than Pipes, they stay well behind because they're ranged. And that's why I think Scattershot needs that ranged air class. There's too many melee bots, and people aren't just saying that because they go, oh, there's too many warriors or too many air classes, because melee bots are not considered part of the meta right now. Not unless they're a warrior, because there is a lot of DPS on these bases now for HO 18, and you need someone that can take them hits. It's not just that. It's not just the HP that makes them a problem. It's because if you compare some of these bots to other alternatives, they just don't compare. So you can compare Roadbuster to SG Jetfire. So you've got Roadbuster does 13k damage. You've got SG Jetfire that does 14k damage at 67. So you can see there, at a lower level, SG Jetfire will do more damage. Now granted, you've got to take the shield gen out first. Granted, Roadbuster's a lot quicker. But that big killer is that ranged combat. It doesn't have that. So if you just want to say to me, I've got a choice between Roadbuster and SG Jetfire to deal with the shield gen cluster, who would you pick? I'd probably go with SG Jetfire, because he gives more advantage elsewhere in terms of his range combat and staying back. If someone said, who do you want just to take out that Liege core, that's on a shock tower maybe, I'd say Roadbuster. It's a lot more effective. Because SG Jetfire sort of takes a few hits and goes round, and it can heal in that time. So, pros and cons. But I would not consider Roadbuster better than SG Jetfire the way he is right now. Sentius twins, are they better than Laser Optimus? I don't know. I'm not convinced. Yes, you can combine them, and I've seen a few videos of people saying, oh, you can combine Rotorstorm and Sentius with Strafe or Laser Optimus, but it gets very expensive. You've got Laser Optimus, who has a cost of 5. You've got Sentius, who has a cost of 5. That's 10. Then you've got Rotorstorm, that has a cost of 4. So 14 ability points. That's not too bad. The problem comes when you use them a second time. But all of a sudden then it's 7 plus 7, that's 14, plus 8, 22 ability points. Add that to the 14, 36 ability points you're talking. Yes, you'll clear a total area, but you'll have no ability points left. And you're also taking 3 bots to clear that area. That's 3 bots on your shuttle that can't take out the shield gen, that can't take out Liege. They have, you know, once you get through the base and trying to pop outposts, thing like that, you've took 3 parts of your shuttle just on clearing this area. And I've always said to people that whenever you're trying to do a job, do it with the least amount of bots possible. But then when you compare that to the current meta of clearing an area, of using skids and rust dust, you're talking 5 plus 4. That's 9. Second use, 7 plus 8, 15, 24 ability points. So 12 ability points less for clearing an area, and I might add more effectively. And you also got to think that the gunners going to stay back, so you can clear the area, they're going to stay back, and you can use the likes of Rook, and you can use the likes of Pipe, which is the current meta that everyone started using. You would not take Sentius and Laser Optimus and Pipes and Rook. It's very tank heavy and lacks a lot of DPS, and going to get in a bit of trouble. And then in terms of Scattershot, I mean, where do we start with this guy? I mean, so bad. I'd say one of the worst bots in the game. Bottom 10, without a doubt. Doesn't do enough damage to really do anything. Takes too long, because it's over 10 seconds. The damage in an area isn't big enough. So bad. Expensive. I mean, the only thing good about this bot is its acid. That is literally it. 10 seconds is not very long when you've got the likes of Slingshot. 6k damage is not a lot of damage when the shield gen like 10k and the defenses around it are 12 and 13k. 3k damage in an area should be massive. It's special, so it's melee, so it gets caught. 2.4 speed, so it runs ahead. Obviously can't have range combats, doesn't have ability 11, doesn't have its own G1 core, and at a cost of 7+2. I mean, there's so many bad things with this bot, and it needs a complete overhaul. And that's why I was so glad when he's included in the batch. Not because he's good, because he needs a massive improvement, and it's a chance to make a really poor bot really good again. And it needs everything. I think it needs changing, like I said, class. It needs changing the speed. It needs changing the damage needs increasing. I think it needs its own core. I think it needs ability 11 as well. Maybe extending the range with ability 11. But so much. But again, when you compare this to Slingshot in terms of the acid, it doesn't compare. When you compare this to Skids in terms of the area of damage, it doesn't compare. I mean, this guy at level 70 does 6k. And then Skids at level, I think it's 67, is it? 67 does 6.3. Granted, it's with his own core, but that's why I said Scattershot could do his own core as well. But if he's air class, don't forget, he can equip enhanced ordnance. So if you take 6k and add a quarter damage on at 7.5k, we're getting somewhere close to where it needs to be. I think personally it needs to be around 8k for it to be even considered decent. And then obviously everything else needs to change as well. But a complete overhaul from Scattershot, because it just doesn't compete with anyone in anything. Not in terms of damage, not in terms of cost, not in terms of range, not in terms of anything. So, and then the last one is obviously Optimus. Now, after testing him, if I'm honest, he does more damage and was better than I thought. But at 7+2, he still does nowhere near enough. So he does 9k damage over 10 seconds. But funnily enough, so does Sunstreaker. Sunstreaker does similar damage for similar cost. But the difference is, again, he's a ranged gunner. He's a ranged bot. So I'm just not convinced as a 5-star he's going to be really that good. He needs a massive cost reduction as well. So I think he needs a lot of work. And I don't think they can do much with him to make him viable. And I think this guy will be the worst one in the batch by the time, because I think he might get a cost reduction, but that's it. And you can put it with the acid and do crazy amount of damage, but we've got Skids that does that for a cheaper cost. It's 7+2. Rust's second use is the same cost. Yes, slightly less damage, but you know what? It's excessive. You know, you don't need 9k damage if you're going to put it with Skids, and Skids does 7k damage. Most defenses have less than 12k. You only need 5k. You only need 6.5k damage from Skids, and you only need about 5k damage from Rustos. You don't need that 9k. So, literally, Rustos will suffice with a ranged combat. So you got to ask, how are they going to make Optimus and T2 Megs compete with Rustos? How are they going to make Scattershot compete for a place with Skids? How are they going to make Sentius compete for a place with Laser Optimus? How are they going to make Roadbuster compete with a place with SG Jetfire? That's the question for me. And that's why I'm going to judge them on that when they do this 5-star batch. But as they do come out, as always, we'll be taking a look at them, we'll be reviewing them, and we'll be letting you guys know of any changes. and getting your guys' thoughts and hopefully pass that on to the team as well. So yeah, look out for that.